You are from the state of Nebraska. I hate to break it to you, you are overachievers, but probably not in the way that you would want or think, because Nebraska is the first state in the United States to enact work requirements ahead of the deadline set by the One Big Beautiful Bill, which institutes that states must set work requirements by January 1st of 2027. Now, these work requirements stipulate that in order to qualify for Medicaid, if you are between the ages of 19 and 64, you must show that you were either at least a part-time student or that you are working or performing community service for at least 80 hours a month. Now, these work requirements would specifically apply for the individuals who received Medicaid under Medicaid expansion in the Affordable Care Act, which was passed in 2010 and enacted in 2014. And there are some exceptions, right? So people who are caregivers for individuals with disabilities, pregnant women, as well as people with medical issues. But the goal, according to Speaker of the House Ron Johnson, is to eliminate the alleged waste, fraud, and abuse that is occurring in Medicaid. Here's the interesting thing. When we're talking about rampant waste, fraud, and abuse, and we actually look at the share of Medicaid beneficiaries that are fitting in the guidelines that Nebraska has set, nearly 92% of individuals meet that threshold. So they are maybe not working because they're taking school, or they're taking care of someone with a disability, or they're working full-time or part-time. That remaining 8% fit into a category where those individuals are either retired, or they're unable to find work, or they're not working for some other reason. And you might say, well, Sarah, those are the 8% of people we're targeting, and we want to make sure that they are contributing to society and not draining our system. I get that. But what if it were to tell you that we've actually implemented Medicaid work requirements before, specifically in the state of Arkansas? So in June of 2018 through March of 2019, Arkansas instituted work requirements for the enrollees they had in Medicaid. And so we actually have data to see whether or not these work requirements actually push that 8% of individuals to actually go to work. And what the study found is that there were no changes to employment at all. There were no significant changes to more people becoming employed because of these work requirements. And interestingly, the only significant effect that this study found in related to work requirements is that nearly 18,000 people lost their health insurance coverage because of these work requirements. And the individuals that did lose their health insurance were employed. It's just there was red tape, or there was a really difficult time validating document eligibility or reporting work status, which subsequently increased the number of uninsured adults in Arkansas, as well as decreased things like medication adherence and increased delays in care, as well as medical debt. And so the point I'm trying to make here is that these work requirements just end up making it a lot more difficult for individuals to enroll in Medicaid without actually fulfilling their intended purpose of increasing employment. And in order to enact these work requirements, right, states are having to invest hundreds of millions of dollars in staff and technology to be able to evaluate whether or not people are employed to begin with. So they're spending all of this money without, according to the research, having the subsequent effects of this. And I've talked about this before, but a lot of the people who are benefiting financially from this include tech companies, include consulting companies, and I think that that is an underreported part of this story. Now, if we're specifically looking at Nebraska in 2026, there is research to suggest that nearly 25,000 Medicaid enrollees, nearly 36% of the population, could lose their health insurance with these new work requirements in place. And there are other states that are not far behind, including Iowa and Montana, that are also looking to be a bit of overachievers in this. Again, if the goal is to institute these work requirements in order to increase people's contribution to society, I think we need to be very honest with ourselves to suggest that that is not the actual intended effect of this policy. And that's all I got for now. If you have any questions, let me know.